Another feature that's been added. Once we're done with the races here today, you don't need to go home. We want you to go over to Waterfront Coffee Butler Amphitheater, because that's where all the world championships are going to be handed out. We're going to use the big stage. We're using every piece of this wonderful property here at the Truman Waterfront here in Key West. So
yeah, there's not much more room for equipment down here at all.
Right.
They've got it packed in here nice and tight, and a lot of fun stuff going on. We had the Truman Waterfront Cup the very first day, the Southernmost Continental Championship the second day, and now we hear the boats roaring out. These bracket classes going out towards the milling circle for the final day of racing at the 39th Annual Offshore World Championships.
Yeah, they are heading out, coming out of the bowl right now and ready to go. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different classes, Joey.
6 classes right now. 7 different boats going to be on the water for this opening races. You have J.P. Larkin and Ed Tamburino in the Wix Filter, the P33 boat in the Bracket 3 class. You have Brian LaMonica and Billy Allen in that Octane boat. Jim Simmons and Jason Zolecki in the Simmons Marine. Those are the 2 boats that are in the Bracket 4 class. Offshore Outlaw holds Damon Morota Jr. and Damon Morona Sr. The Super Vee Extreme is the Sheriff Lobo with Shamil Mohammed and Mark Neiman in it. Speedster is Eric Treadwell and Dan McNamara. They were initially looking to be in part of the Bracket 4, are now part of the Bracket 2 class. And then we have also the Illicit Motorsports team out there. They came in on Friday, ran a couple of laps, and are back out there today to finish off this World Championship.
Right. So here we go. Bracket 3, Wix Filters. Bracket 4 has Simmons Marine and Octane going against one another. Down to Bracket 2, all by himself, Speedster. Bracket 6 has simply Offshore Outlaw. The Super Vee Extreme class has Sheriff Lobo going. And in the Bracket 5 class, Illicit Motorsports. We're going to try and get out there again here today. So this should be a lot of fun as we get ourselves ready to go here. Still plenty of time for you to come down and join us. And again, I'm just getting a couple of texts from racing fans and all that. Just again about the start times today. Again, we have moved to 3 races today. This first race coming up here at 10 a.m. The second race will be at 1 o'clock of this afternoon. And then the third and final race will be at 2:30. We're doing that because there's only one team left that is still standing in the Extreme class after 2 days of racing, and we're going to move the Extreme class to race with the Super Cats at 2:30. So that's your schedule here today. And as you come out and walk out to the mole here, as Joey mentioned, all the different vendors you can see, there's plenty to eat and drink here. If you're in one of our 2 beautiful VIP tents, you are in store for a great day as well. So come on down and join us. We're going to have a lot of fun on what has really turned out to be a spectacular day here in Key West on this Sunday.
Not too choppy. Again, it's going to be sporty. It'll make it exciting out there. Make it very exciting. These V-bottoms, this first one, these bracket boats here are all a lot of V-bottoms, and we see the yellow flag up and flying now. Means they'll start bringing them out onto the course. They're coming out of the milling circle. That Cigarette Hawk, John Keller, making his 50th start on that Cigarette Hawk pace boat. So big milestone for John Keller here today on that boat, starting us off here.
That is quite a milestone there,
50th
Joe.
start for John Keller there today. Big time start for him. Important milestone as he leads this fleet of bracket teams along with the SVX Sheriff Lobo out onto the 4.5 mile long course. The yellow flag is still waiting and holding for the teams to all come to an even line here.
Just
sure
looking
we
at
have a competitive start
at our monitor here, Joey, looking at him starting to come out of the Mallory Square area, you can see how much more choppy the water is right now today than it was on the first 2 days.
And these V-bottoms cut through weather like this, right? Water like this
Yeah,
a lot better.
They
don't mind the chop a bit. But right now you're not on that you're not fully throttled down and up on that plane right now. So you're going to see a little more wake coming off these boats, and a lot of these teams are getting caught in that Cigarette Hawk right now as we wait to get to the start of here. Here they come up on a little bit better of a plane. There we see all 7 boats now in the picture. This is not uncommon to see the pace boat go out slow like this to make sure that it has a clean and even start for everybody. But it seems like everybody is now lined up out of that milling circle and lined up.
And the two boats racing against each other again are in bracket 4. Simmons Marine, who's taken first place in the first 2 days, trying to hold off Octane, that's their competition here in the bracket 4.
And we have a green flag, and racing has started at the 39th Annual Key West Offshore World Championships. We have the Wix Filter coming up on that outside. I'm sorry, that is the Octane on the inside of that, racing the Simmons Marine. The winner of that race there between Simmons and Octane will be your bracket 4 champions. They are getting around the inside. The Speedster is actually coming up at the inside along that Sheriff Lobo boat. Those two will be running the fastest speeds here in this. Lobo is not regulated. Sheriff, the yellow, blue and yellow, the blue hold, yellow canopied Sheriff Lobo will not be regulated on speed. The Speedster, on the other hand, is stuck at 100 miles per hour. Can go no faster than that.
And what have we seen, Joey, through the first 2 days of racing as we head into this final day is the team that has gotten off into that clean water has and got the early lead right off the get-go has gone wire to wire in pretty much every race.
Most races it has gone that way so far this year.
We'll
Lobo has been that team out in the front of these morning races. These 10 a.m. races has belonged to Sheriff Lobo. And once again, they are the first to the pin. The only team not regulated on speed. And really the only race for a World Championships at this point comes between the number 4 Octane and the number 404 Simmons Marine. And those two teams are come out of the same pit. They are teammates. So no matter what, they have a 1-2 finish here for Jim Simmons' squad.
Get our first look at the conditions out there on the wall after they're all making the turn at turn 1, heading to turn 2 in front of Fort Zach down there.
And if you see the V's jumping like this a bit, you can see the cats getting out there a lot higher come later in the day. They head towards turn 1. It is the Sheriff Lobo out in front there. Speedster sitting right behind him. Leaders of that bracket 2 class. There we see them going into turn 2. Nice tight turn by the Sheriff Lobo.
It was just run terrifically here in Key West this week, which is something that this team wanted to do so desperately when they got down here. And boy, he's getting some big air there too as they came around and through turn 2. And Lobo trying to finish off just a spectacular week here at the World Championships.
Everybody going pretty tight. One wide turn down there. I believe that was your Illicit Motorsports team that took a nice wide turn there to make sure it kept it nice and safe. They had Wix on their inside there, so couldn't go too close to the pin. But there you have your leaders in the Super Vee Extreme class. Sheriff Lobo, Shamil Muhammad, Mark Neiman, navigating that boat around the course here. We complete the first lap of 7 3/4 laps. Speedster leading the way in bracket class number 2. There is the Octane ahead of Simmons Marine right now in the battle for production class 4, and then the Wix Filter coming across the start-finish line there as we head to turn 3. Again, Sheriff Lobo still leading the way.
And I got it's a full race course today, Joey. How many laps are these guys running?
7 3/4 laps. The first 2 days they did 5 3/4. So add a couple laps for these smaller boats. We'll see. Sheriff Lobo is actually scheduled to do 9 3/4 laps, but we're not sure if those guys from Trinidad and Tobago will go all that time or not. Just simply need to keep the equipment in check for next season. If it's not broken, there's no reason to go in next season with any kind of gremlins or problems.
Right, exactly. And as they go in front of Sunset Key right now, just been so smooth here in their first 2 days and off to a great start here after 1 lap.
There is your Illicit Motorsports team. Coming across the start-finish line, you see that in the live stream, peek in there for a second as we watch the Speedster team, your leaders of the bracket 2 class, head out towards the first turn. There is your Sheriff Lobo team.
Simply Offshore Outlaw in bracket 6 just came by us here as, again, they're racing by themselves in that bracket 6 class. They get their first lap completed.
Inside that Offshore Outlaw is Damon Marotta Jr. and Damon Marotta, the father-son team. If we stay on the live stream, we're looking now at the battle for the Production 4 class. Octane holding off Simmons Marine with Wix Filters running right behind them. Wix Filters can run at a higher speed than those two boats in the bracket 4 class. But right now, all three staying together. Wouldn't be surprised if Wix makes a move to the inside. Looks like they're trying to do that now and get past the two slower boats. As we look at the Sheriff Lobo making their way through the first turn, heading towards Fort Zachary Taylor. It is definitely sporty. There's no doubt. That is the term for it right now. It is going to make it interesting, exciting for the Cats when they get out there later to see how they handle the conditions in between turn 1 and turn 2, where the two oceans collide out there, and the wall is always a setup.
You've got to be at the top of your game to race this course, Joey, because even the way this course is laid out, it's a beautiful layout where you can watch it everywhere when you're at the Mole or Fort Zach or down at Mallory Square. But there's 3 different courses in one here, Joey, of condition-wise. And obviously the one spot you always keep a close eye on is right there going through that wall. But both of our flip incidents happened here in the straightaway in front of in front of the Mole here that happened with Jackhammer on Friday, and then down closer to Mallory Square on Wednesday.
In the first 2 days, we had the wind coming directly in that direction, down the back straightaway, blowing right in the face of the boats there. As a matter of fact, the teams were cautioned today about how it's coming pretty much off of Dufault Street around Ocean Key House and whipping right in their faces of the teams heading into turn 3. That's what we saw that very first day, as we see the Sheriff Lobo coming around to complete its second lap in the Super Vee Extreme class. All part of the 10 a.m. races here at the 39th Annual Offshore World Championship. There is this Speedster team, your bracket 2 leaders. So yeah, the teams were warned about that wind potentially coming through and whipping through there, especially because it's kind of like a wind tunnel coming off around the Ocean Key House right there and whipping right into their face.
Into
so
the course, yeah.
The wind seems to be kind of sitting similar fashion there again today. Here we have the Octane trying to maintain and hold off that Simmons Marine. The battle really is between the Simmons Marine and the Octane there as they come by all deck to deck, heading to turn 3, 3 wide going into turn 3 as we see the Lobo making their way out of turn 3, the leaders of the SVX class. But the battle there between Octane and Simmons Marine remains tight. The winner of that race here today will be your World Championships. Point-wise, it'll come down. The Octane can win it today by a single point. Without Los Muchachos being in the mix, it comes down to just those two teams. Simmons will pull away easily with the victory. Octane will win it by a point over their teammates if they hold on to this.
If they hold on. And, man, was that tight coming across the start-finish line here, Joey, with Octane and Simmons Marine. Let's see who comes out of that turn 3 down in front of Mallory Square as they head to the next straightaway.
As we see the Speedster out towards turn 1. There is the Wix Filter. They took the best turn there, but they are racing in that bracket 3 class. One on top of the Simmons and the Octane. And it does look like the Simmons has overtaken the Octane there. So the Simmons is your leaders and in control of that bracket 4 class right now and your World Championship.
Octane had the lead after 1 lap, and as they came through here, completing lap 2, they were just pretty much nose to nose going across that start-finish line. But Simmons Marine takes the turn well at turn 3, gets the lead, and now Octane trying to make up some ground here, as this is your battle that you're really watching here right now between Octane and Simmons Marine in this bracket 4 class.
There's no doubt on the straightaways it is the Octane that has the speed, so in order for Simmons Marine to get this World Championships, it's simply going to come down to the fact, can he beat him on the turn? So far in turn 3, it's what it seems. Last lap, it seemed on turn 1 and 2, he had them there too. So as they head into this first turn, Octane on the lead, holding off Simmons Marine, but we'll see what kind of maneuver Simmons makes. The leaders of this bracket 4 class, the SVX leaders, Sheriff Lobo, are heading into the second turn now. as we see the Illicit Motorsports come through and complete their second lap of the day in first place in that bracket 5 class.
Yeah, they didn't start on Wednesday, got out on the course on Friday, broke down in the first lap on Friday, and here on Sunday, Illicit Motorsports making a push here. They've got 2 laps in the books. So good start for them here.
Greg Bluter and Mark Diodario inside that Illicit Motorsports vessel, should I say. And there is your Offshore Outlaw team giving a big hi and hello to the fans as they come by. Your bracket 6 leaders, Offshore Outlaw, Damon Marotta Jr. and Damon Marotta inside.
That was a little primetime action there, wasn't it?
Hey, got to get the excitement for the fans here. Say thank you and hello. Final day of racing at the 39th Offshore World Championships. Why not? As we see the Lobo still completely dialed in, completing their third lap. Speedster maintaining pace right behind them. Speedster, your bracket 2 class leaders. Super Vee Extreme leader is your Sheriff Lobo. Inside the Speedster is Eric Treadwell and Dan McNamara. There is your Wix Filter team. Your Wix Filters, not only did they win, are going to be the winners of this bracket 3 class. And right now for JP Larkin and Ed Tamburino, just being able to complete and race as many laps as they can is important, because they're, again, another one of these teams are here for the fans. They're all about that, and the fact of the matter, they have not going to be able to complete one of the first 2 days has been very disappointing for them. The bracket 4 now, it looks as if Octane has maintained control here over the Simmons Marine. Opened up a bit of a lead there as they complete their third lap. That Wix team, JP Larkin, team owner, congratulations to them. They are not only going to go home with the bracket 3 class championship, but as well, they are the winners of the first annual Boat Builders. They had a whole big event here Saturday. They dropped a bunch of equipment, just a bunch of random supplies on all the teams, and they had a lot amount of time to build the boats. They had all sorts of different things. Scott Porter, a Shadow Pirate, will come on later. I have to ask him about it, but he won the award for best swimmer. He won the race. He was the first to get through the race, building a paddleboard type vessel, but unfortunately he forgot to show up to the driver's meeting for the races, the build-a-boat races, and did not hear the fact that you could not paddle with your hands, decided to paddle with your hands and not use a paddle. Thus, he was the first across the finish line, but disqualified, leaving him to be the best award swimmer. Team Coast Guard also had a very similar technique, and Team Coast Guard was out there doing the paddleboard technique as well. Pro Floors probably had the nicest injury. They get all the style points for that boat right there. They had the flags and all the hype and hoopla on it. Unfortunately, the minute they placed their driver on the boat, it sank.
It sank.
So Pro Floors gets the style points and nothing beyond that. Your second place finishers in the competitions was Team Allen Lawn Care. Billy Allen aboard that Octane boat, heading off Simmons Marine as they head towards that first turn. Team Allen Lawn Care literally built their boat around their driver. They put her on the table first and then built the boat up around her. And then our sportsmanship award goes to the Wix Filters team. Todd DePhillips was out there. I mean, the main theme of RWO, its sportsmanship, is to help each other succeed in racing. That's what we're out here to do. So the Wix Filter the Wix Wicked Powerboats team came out and were giving help to everybody that needed into the pits. So the sportsmanship award goes to them. The third place finisher was the Wake Effects. There were fans on either side of the docks watching this event go on. Super exciting, super fun. Great way to keep the fans entertained here during the 39th Annual Offshore World Championships. As we see the teams come around, it is the Sheriff Lobo completing its fourth lap here as they're heading up to the outer mole.
That was the Build-A-Boat competition yesterday here inside the mole. And, yeah, they had a blast with all that. It's great to see all the teams making it out after the big night on Friday, too, Joey.
1 o'clock race, you have time to get up and slowly. It wasn't the 7:30 drivers meeting like normal.
There's Lobo doing its thing right behind them, the Speedster.
Both teams have completed their fourth lap, running 7 3/4 for the bracket teams. Lobo is scheduled for 10 But again, we'll see how many they decide to run here. They are your world champions in the Super Extreme V. Wix is your world champions in the Bracket 3. Bracket 2 will be your Speedster. The one still up for contention is your Bracket 4 class. There's your winners in the Bracket 3, the Wix Filters. There's Sheriff Lobo coming out of turn 3 on your live stream. Shamil Muhammad and Mark Neiman, the team out of Trinidad and Tobago. Illicit Motorsports coming across the start-finish line to complete their third of 7 3/4 laps in the Bracket 4 class. Great shot of the Sheriff Lobo going by Sunset Key. Sunset Key, another great spot to watch these races here. And there's only 3 races here this afternoon. 10,
1 o'clock.
and 2:30. And as my attention was drawn, Simmons Marine making up some time on the Octane and retaking the lead now as they come across the start-finish line. That has been a great battle in that Bracket 4 class. The winners of today will be your world champions. And right now it is Simmons Marines trying to hold off their teammate as they head into turn 3.
Man, you want to talk about a great race going on between these two in Bracket 4 right now. Simmons Marine coming back, had been right on their tail there for second place, and now moving ahead of Octane now after 4 laps. We'll see how these turns go in turn 3, and then hitting that straightaway. Simmons Marine actually had the lead when they went earlier up that straightaway. Octane caught him on that 3rd lap, but now Simmons Marine overtaking.
Yeah, that 3rd turn is where Octane came back out on that 3rd turn and shot behind him. Once he went on that front straightaway, we saw him go right out in front of us. And now this time around, it was the Simmons Marine that, like you said, the turns right now. It's turns versus the straightaway. So we'll see. Interested to see as they come around this turn here. It is Simmons Marine that has held on to the lead there. In the live stream, we're getting a good look at the Sheriff Lobo team still holding off the Speedster. They are in 2 different classes out there, but there's sure a bit of a race going on between who can be the fastest in this morning one. It is the Sheriff Lobo and the SVX. That's that blue hold boat. There you have a look at the Simmons Marine and the Octane teams. That is the battle for the Bracket 4 class. Simmons Marine in that yellow hole. The silver hole is of the Octane. As they head out towards turn 1. They're going to be coming into a little bit of lap traffic there. The Illicit Motorsports in that Bracket 5 definitely not running as fast. Get a good look at the Sheriff Lobo and Speedster coming back down this straightaway. And if these Vs are cutting through and getting air like this, the Cats will be too this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
All these boats in these morning class are your Cats. Oh, sorry, all your Vs.
Are your V-bottoms,
yeah, excuse me, all your Vs. So we see the Wix filter coming around that 2nd turn also now. Your leaders, Sheriff Lobo, followed closely by the Speedster. Great race week here for Sheriff
Easy
Lobo.
for you to say, Joey.
Woo,
yeah.
It's been a fun week for all of us. There they are, the Lobo and the Speedster, nearly side by side. Now, as a matter of fact, I think the Speedster is going to try to make a move here and try to get to this pin maybe. The inside lane does belong to the Lobo, so they're going to have to go out wide around the Lobo if they get there first, and it looks like Lobo will hold them off to this turn.
It appears to me, even though they're in different bracket classes, they are racing against each other right now.
This is
they're
racing still in the end. You got to have some fun. There's no breakouts. Even if they break out, what's the difference? They still finish first in their class.
Wix Marine, 5 laps in the books for Wix Filters.
Wix Filters developer team there completing it. Looking at the turn there, it is this Speedster team that has, despite going on the outside, looking to gain that ground on the Lobo team. We'll see where they come out of this turn. Lobo on the inside there may have done just enough staying on the inside, close enough to that pin to hold off the Speedster team, but it looks like they're coming out of that turn 3 and onto the front straightaway, deck to deck, as they head out on their 6th of 7 3/4 laps here during the 10 a.m. races of the 39th Annual Offshore World Championships in beautiful Key West, Florida. And it is the Speedster boat, as they have straightened themselves out, that has the slight advantage over the Sheriff's Lobo team. Not racing each other per se, different classes, but still competition running through the blood of those drivers. You know they're going to be out there pushing as hard as they can for the fans. Wix Filter, the bracket 3 class, also making his way through turn 3 and out towards that first turn.
It's the 39th Annual World Championship Offshore Powerboat Races live here on Sports Radio 1600 WKWF.
And here we go. The bracket 4 chase is still neck and neck. Simmons Marine holding them off. Simmons, as they were coming up there, had to make a little jut around the buoy, keeping them inside the course there. You got to stay inside that course, get too close to the fans here. And they had to make a little bit of move, not enough to open up a lane for the Octane. As we take a look back out towards turn 1, it is the Lobo staying to the inside. So it's the turns of the Lobo right now that is keeping them neck and neck with that Speedster team. There we have the Illicit Motorsports completing their 4th lap.
So lots of drama here in this bracket 4 class. Simmons Marine and Octane going back and forth.
And we have Lobo. Lobo is off the plane. They have come off a plane out there and chopping around in that rough water between turn 1 and turn 2. The boat is upright. No worries in that sense at all. But they are off a plane and on the inside of the course. So great racing all week for them. You know, it's got to be a little disappointed with just a few laps left to go here in these morning races. And here we have the battle for the bracket 4 class. Simmons Marine, Octane. Octane has proven to be faster on the straightaways here today. So with this slight lead coming out of turn 3, deck to deck, I wouldn't be surprised if Octane, who has the inside lane, beats them to turn 1.
Joey, nose to nose there, Bubba.
Again, this will be determined. Whoever wins out of those 2 boats will be the winner of the bracket 4 class, while the second will become runner-up. Does not matter what they did the first 2 days. With Octane going second, Simmons going first. It'll be a 1-point difference winner for Octane if they can do it. There is the Speedster team giving a hi and a hello to the fans as they come by to complete their 6th lap. 2 more times to go before the checkered flag will fly for the Speedster here. They are your bracket 2 class leaders.
Yeah, they were having that non-race race with Speedster and Sheriff Lobo. Lobo's run 2 great days here today, now off into the middle of the course after breaking down.
On the other hand, we have the Wix Filters team, who have not been able to complete either the first 2 days, looking strong and steady right now and in line to potentially complete all 7 3/4 laps here today. That'll be a huge monkey off the back for JP Larkin and Ed Tamburino inside that number P33 boat.
Huge for them, Joey, Wix Filters. I mean, they have been moving this boat all over the place. Go up to Fort Myers, to Miami.
So you're the Offshore Outlaw boys again. The father-son team in that 688, running in the bracket 6 class, 70 mile per hour regulated speeds for that team. Get a good look at the Wix Filters teams completing the 3rd turn, heading past Sunset Key now. Out on their 7th of 7 3/4 laps, meaning they'll come by this outer mole 2 more times. In these morning races of the 39th Annual Offshore World Championships, the World Champions will be decided today. Matter of fact, we already know a few in these classes that Wix Filter will be your bracket 3 class World Champions. The Wix Filter developer team. Of course, the one that's still up for contention is your bracket 4 class. Octane, Simmons Marine made it exciting all day today. Back and forth action between the 2. They've both held the lead. They've both given it away. And now we see them, should see them any moment now coming back through turn 2 in front of this outer mole.
World Championships here on WKWF, brought to you by Deep Impact Custom Boats. We're live in the Deep Impact Custom Boats broadcast booth.
And here it is, the battle for the bracket 4 class. Simmons Marine still holding off the Octane. Less than a second lead, and I almost want to say now on this straightaway again, the Octane is picking up speed on them and trying to set themselves up nice and wide around that turn here. So the inside lane is being held by the Simmons as they turn towards turn 3 On turn 1, we see the Wix Filter developer team making their way through the course here. They are on their 7th lap. The Simmons and the Octane have now completed their 6th lap. 7 boats out on the water here, racing in 6 different classes. We see a group of them coming around that turn. The yellow top there is the Illicit Motorsports, followed right behind them is the Offshore Outlaw, and then the Wix Filter developer team also making their way around that second turn towards by Fort Zachary Taylor as they come to the finish line. Following this, Wix Filter will have 1 more lap around. The Offshore Outlaw and Illicit Motorsports will be making 2 more laps.
How much fun do you think the Speedster team is having right now in Key West, Joe?
There's your Speedster team pulling away there too. I'm sorry, that was the Speedster, not the Offshore Outlaw team. That was the Speedster coming by.
Yeah, Speedster wasn't here on Wednesday. Great race on Friday, looking strong again here today on Sunday. As well as Wix Filters, really pulling it all together here on this final day of racing.
Trying to make a good run for it here, trying to maybe catch up on that Speedster team. Again, different classes, but still the competition, the spirit of it has got to be out there. So you know that Wix Filter is trying to make a little bit of run probably towards that Speedster team to see if they can make it excited on this final 3/4 of a lap. Both teams should be coming up to the checkered flag there in the bracket 3 class. Your Wix Filter developer team in the lead, Speedster leading the way in the bracket 2 class. So we take a look out towards turn 1.
All the drama in this bracket 4 class right now. Simmons Marine desperately trying to hold off Octane here.
See the Cigarette Hawk set up in position there at the finish line. Let's see it go by. The Wix Filter would go by the far side of it, meaning 2 more turns left for the Speedster and Wix Filters team here in Key West during the 2019 Offshore World Championships.
And this is just the start of an incredible day of racing here. Very excited about that 1 o'clock start and the 2:30 start. Lots of action still coming your way here. But we gotta see what's gonna happen here in this bracket 4 class.
You see them in between turn 1 and turn 2. That is your Simmons Marine and Octane teams. It looks as if Simmons Marine has held off Octane here. They are completing their 7th of 7 3/4 laps. The fastest on the course right now are your Wix Filter and Speedster teams, your bracket 3 and bracket 2 class leaders respectively. They are both heading through the first turn now. As we see on the live stream, Wix Filters developer making their way through turn number 1. 1 turn left for JP Larkin and Ed Tamburino to complete the course here today, and that would be a huge victory for them to just be able to finish. Day 1 and day 2, they were unable to finish. I know it was important. They did a lot of work, a lot of traveling, a lot of miles to get there today to make sure they're racing still here on Sunday and completing the course. So all that has paid off for this Wix Filters team as they head towards turn 2, the final turn of the day. The battle, though, for bracket 4 is between Simmons Marine and Octane, and it has not disappointed as they come back through one more time. Side by side, it is the Octane that holds a slight advantage, a very slight advantage. One time back through, next time through will be for the checkered flag, so they're going to navigate 3 more turns for the World Championship here in Key West. Meanwhile, we have your race leaders, Wix Filters, Speedster, coming to the finish line and looking for that checkered flag.
Well,
there they are, your number 299, Eric Treadwell, Dan McNamara, your winners of the Bracket 2 World Championship, Speedster. Followed right behind them, JP Larkin, Ed Tamburino, your world champions in Bracket 3 class, Wix Filter Developer.
Great run for Speedster here today. Outstanding day for Wix Filters, who could not finish either day 1 or day 2. 2 world titles going to be handed out to those teams, but now all eyes are on what's happening in bracket 4. A big move by Octane in taking lap 7, just a scotch ahead of Simmons Marine, and we are on the final lap. Who is going to be able to navigate the wall, get in front of Fort Zach, and get up this straightaway to claim that flag?
There we see a great shot of Simmons Marine. They are making their way towards that second turn right now. I'm sorry, they're making their way towards the first turn still.
Turn 1.
Turn 1. About to hit the wall.
Team Outlaw coming in now. Simply Offshore Outlaw. Racing in that bracket 6 class.
They are also your bracket 6 world championship. Damon Marotta Jr., Damon Marotta, the father-son team on the Offshore Outlaw. Illicit Motorsports will be your bracket 5 world champions. Greg Bluter and Mark D. Dario. Those 2 teams still do have 1 lap remaining on this course. Sheriff Lobo was unable to complete all the laps today, as we see them slowly making their way back
disappointing day for them today, but a great week for Sheriff Lobo. The great runs on Wednesday and Friday. They were battling there with Speedster today, although they were in 2 different classes. But breakdown there forces Lobo to move into the middle of the course and finish their day.
We have 2 boats remaining on the course now. You have the battle for the bracket 4 class.
This is it here, coming up here.
And I do not see Octane out there anywhere. I have lost sight of Octane.
Yeah.
I do not see them. I do not see if they had troubles coming out of that harbor turn. Turn 3.
I believe that's Simmons Marine heading down to turn 2 right
now. That is the Simmons Marine heading out that way. So if that be the case, the championship after that great racing there today in that bracket 4 class may come down to a nice easy run for Simmons Marine in the end to claim the title over teammate Octane,
who
coming out of the same
Team
pit.
Octane had just taken the lead there,
as
Joe,
they come by. They
had
changed at the start finish. They had changed laps almost every single lead. They were changing leads. We had the Octane in the lead for the first one, then it came back to Simmons Marine. Simmons gave it back to the Octane. Then by lap 4, it was Simmons back in front before the Octane came back. So it's been trading off every other lap until this final lap. It looks like Simmons will be able to cruise easily into your world championship in the bracket 4 class.
Which will mean they would have gone wire to wire, Joey, taking the checkered flag all 3 days here today. But boy, did they get pushed by Octane here. A great
Octane
first race.
Definitely made it exciting. But here they come. Jim Simmons, Jason Zolecki, your champions of the bracket 4 class, Simmons Marine.
Just a great week for this team, Simmons Marine. Each and every day taking that checkered flag. Today in that battle with Octane. Octane needed to get across the finish line first here today to have a chance for that world title. But Simmons Marine, congratulations. They are your
bracket 4 world champions at the 39th annual Offshore World Champions. The Octane, I do not believe the
we
Octane
have not seen,
Team 3. I mean, down in turn 3, somewhere down there, we've just lost the Octane one of the turns.
And as they were coming out of the harbor, heading up the straightaway to turn 1, we just have lost track of them right now.
There we see the Sheriff Lobo team. Shamil Muhammad, Mark Neiman, both popping out of that canopy. Great week of racing for them. Fortunately, had to be towed in on the final day, but still came here, got their first checkered flag in the United States. The team out of Trinidad and Tobago. Shamil, affectionately known as Shamu, throughout the pits.
Great day, great week for this team. Yeah, you don't want to get towed in on the last day, but you know that you came here and did what you wanted to do. And they're going to take a world championship home to Trinidad and Tobago.
Your Speedster team, also your world champions in bracket 2. There's the Wix Filters squad. They were your world champions in bracket number 3. Of course, your bracket 4 world champions, Jim Simmons, Jason Zulecki, Simmons Marine. 6 champions here crowned at 10 a.m. We will crown one more champion in that super stock class at 1 p.m. Then at 2:30 p.m., it'll be the Super Cat class, where we figure out who comes out of that one. With 8 boats potentially being on the water here this afternoon, anything can happen big time. There's a lot of different probabilities and possibilities coming up with the point totals. Everything is doubled here today. There we see the Octane being also towed back into the inner mole.
Yeah, so a tough ending there for Octane, breaking down on that final lap, which then gave Simmons Marine an easy ride in on that final lap to take the championship. Let's take a break here. You're listening to the 2019 World Championship Offshore Powerboat Races on Sports Radio 1600 WKWF. We'll be back with you right after this.